Hey everyone, finished watching the very first episode of Operation Overdrive, if you don't count the behind the scenes special, Kick into Overdrive Part 1. An Indiana Jones-esque superhero narrowly escapes a plane but finds himself falling to the ground. Suddenly, it's revealed that this was all just a fantasy. A young man, Mac, falls out of his hammock while daydreaming. A butler comes over to talk and they discuss Mac's father. He's off searching for a relic, the Corona Aurora, crown of the gods. We see his father, and he has successfully found it. Once he touches it, though, a wave of energy shoots out, reaching out into space. The wave alerts two beings, one from a snowy planet and one from a volcanic planet. Mac's father is visited by a mysterious glowing being that warns him of impending danger. Elsewhere, a movie stuntman is feeling underappreciated. He finds a little box and opens it. A hologram of Mac's father appears. We learn his whole name, Andrew Hartford. In the message, he recruits the stuntman Dax for a secret mission. Others around the world receive Hartford's messages as well. A race car driver, Ronnie Robinson, a professional thief, Will, and a young scientist, Rose. They meet up at Hartford's mansion. Mac introduces himself, but his father shoos him away. Mac and his butler, Spencer, eavesdrop. They hear Mr. Hartford tell the group about a secret mission and that the world is in danger. Mr. Hartford shows the group footage from a few days ago. After he found the Corona Aurora, two beings followed its signal to Earth. They're brothers, Moltor and Flurius. Ancient legends say they tried to take the Corona Aurora but were cursed and sent off to distant planets. A guardian took the jewels of the Corona Aurora and scattered them. Hartford wants them to become Power Rangers to defend the world and find the jewels. The group is skeptical, despite Moltor and Flurius apparently already being on Earth for a few days. They begin to leave, but the Guardian appears to them and insists that what Hartford told them is true. In the Arctic, Flurius sets up base in a cave and meets a goofy Yeti. Moltor sets up his own base in a volcano. Hartford assembles the group in an underground command center and resequences them, giving them new abilities. Mac follows and asks his dad what's going on. Outside, the newly established Rangers encounter Moltor's minions, the lava lizards. The team utilize their new abilities to battle them. Spencer alerts Hartford and the Rangers are given their vehicles. Mac comes along, much to his father's reluctance. They encounter Chillers, Flurius's minions. Hartford hands out morphers to the Rangers, and they morph for the first time into Operation Overdrive. Mr. Hartford plans to use the final morpher himself, but is jumped by lava lizards and carried off. Mac picks up his morpher and uses it himself, becoming the Red Ranger. He jumps into battle to rescue his father. The setting then keeps jumping between a quarry and a forest with a lake. It's really jarring. The editing hasn't been like this in years. It's especially noticeable considering how movie quality everything has been so far. Moltor attacks Mr. Hartford, but the Rangers come to his aid. Moltor steals the Corona Aurora and sets off a nearby volcano. He teleports away, leaving the Rangers to handle the volcano. This is quite an impressive premiere. It's hard to think based on how unpopular this season is. This is quite possibly the most cinematic a Power Rangers premiere has looked since Lost Galaxy. The opening is a neat little insight to our new Red Ranger Mac. He has dreams and aspirations of adventure, but is frustrated by his lack of opportunity to experience them. The other Rangers get some moments to inform us a little bit of who they are. Dax the stuntman gets the most. He's underappreciated, but loves his work and loves movies. Ronnie, the race car driver, is extremely talented. We don't get a whole lot personality-wise. Will, the professional thief, is inquisitive. Rose, the scientist, is confident in dangerous situations and highly capable. Mr. Hartford is a caring father to his son and wants to keep him safe, but it appears he'll have to accept that Mac is going to make his own choices. Finally, we have Spencer the butler. He's a great character, very friendly and approachable. He's considered a fan-favorite character, even among fans that don't care for the season. He gets a few funny bits this episode, but what he's more known for is his later appearances. Moltor and Flurius don't get much characterization this time. They're brothers, and they don't necessarily get along. Norg is also introduced. He doesn't realize that Flurius is a bad guy and just wants to be his friend. The final major character here is the Guardian. What could he have to do with all this? Who is he? Why does he know about the Corona Aurora? All we know is that he's too weak to help too much, only able to appear for a few brief moments. Civilian powers are back. Yay. They feel pretty unnecessary here. Dino Thunder's civilian powers were underutilized, but at least they were unique for that season. SPD had a story reason for their powers, even though they're often forgotten about. Overdrive civilian powers really feel tacked on. They don't even come with their ranger powers, they're separate. Someone behind the scenes just really wanted civilian powers to be a thing again. Maybe they'll play a bigger part later? Oh yeah, Mac didn't get powers. Will he get resequenced next episode? This episode aired in what's considered the 15th anniversary year for Power Rangers, and there's some callbacks to past seasons here. Something about Andrew Hartford reminds me of Tyler Steele from VR Troopers, not technically Power Rangers, but it's related. They're both single fathers, they're both adventurers of sorts, and they've developed their own superhero powers, and their sons are the leaders of their respective teams. Mac is a rich kid, he even has a butler. Wes, back in Time Force, was a rich kid, also with a butler he'd confide in. Spencer has a mischievous streak, evidenced by him joining in on Mac's eavesdropping, and had a few moments of dry humor. Wes's butler also had moments of dry humor, and was supportive of Wes, even when his father wasn't. The Rangers being recruited one by one is very reminiscent of Lightspeed Rescue's premiere. Dax wears a blonde wig, and it looks a lot like Wes's blonde wig from the Time Force episode Movie Madness. When Moltor rises out of the lava on his planet, he says, "At last, I'm free!" Possibly a reference to Rita and Korag's lines. Before Flurious and Moltor attempt to take the Chrono Aurora in their backstory, they're garbed in Ninja Academy-style outfits. Touching an artifact that curses them is also reminiscent of the Zeo Crystal and how evil beings couldn't touch it. Rita jokes that Zed looks the way he does because of it. Years later, the Boom comics actually established that Rita was not joking and Zed really was changed by touching the crystal. Finally, the civilian powers may be a callback to the more recent seasons, but they don't really feel organic to this season, at least not yet. The cast has quite a few actors who are either well-known or went on to become well-known. Mac is played by James McLurkin, born in Australia. After Power Rangers, he continued acting as well as writing and directing. Spencer was played by David Weatherly. He's a New Zealand actor and has had many roles over his career. He had a recurring role in a soap opera, Home and Away, and has done voice work in cartoons and video games. Later on, in Operation Overdrive, he'll voice the monster Benglo. Outside Power Rangers, he's best known for his small but memorable part in Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring as the innkeeper Butterbur. Andrew Hartford is played by Rod Lucich, another New Zealand actor. Before Power Rangers, he sang in a band. He had steady acting roles, but appears to have retired to spend time with his family. Dax, the Blue Ranger, is played by Gareth Ewan. He's had many roles in TV and film before and after Power Rangers. He was in an episode of the Australian kids show Round the Twist, which aired on Fox Kids, the original home of the Power Rangers, making him one of the few actors to have appeared on a Fox Kids show before the Disney Power Rangers seasons began. One of the only other actors I can think of who was in a role like that was Kevin Duaney, who played Ethan in Dino Thunder. He played a character in the infamous Angela Anaconda cartoon. Ronnie, the Yellow Ranger, was played by Caitlin Murphy. She had no acting experience before Power Rangers and doesn't appear to have done much since. Will, the Black Ranger, was played by Samuel Benta. He's an English actor who's done much acting and directing right up to the present. Before Power Rangers, he was an accomplished singer, and even wrote his own theme for Operation Overdrive. He was the target of misinformed rumors for years within the Power Rangers fandom. Thankfully, he's given his side of the story since, and his reputation is improving among fans. Rose the Pink Ranger was played by Rhoda Montemayor. She's another English actor, and had steady acting roles up to the present. Her biggest role outside Power Rangers is Eigen Queek, or Eigen, I don't know how to pronounce that, a Dutch show. Flurious is played by Gerald Urquhart. Urquhart, I don't know how to pronounce that either. A New Zealand actor. He had several other voice roles on Power Rangers, and was on the popular New Zealand soap opera Shortland Street. Moltor was played by Mark Ferguson. He's had roles in many New Zealand productions, including The Lord of the Rings. He previously voiced Gekor in Mystic Force, and returned in Beast Morphers to reloop his own dialogue and stock footage because Power Rangers can be an unbelievably sloppy show at times. Finally, the Guardian, or Sentinel Knight, if we want to skip ahead, was played by Nick Sampson. He played Chip, the Yellow Ranger, previously in Mystic Force. He went on to voice several Monsters of the Day in future Power Rangers seasons. Unfortunately, despite being involved, neither Chip or Sentinel Knight ever make another appearance after their respective seasons. Nick Sampson is also a successful actor and comedian, and has become a prolific writer for many New Zealand shows. Overdrive has a strong start, but from what I recall, the season begins to drag a bit later on. Hopefully I'll like it more this time around. I know there's at least a few pretty good episodes coming later, so that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.